Hello and welcome to the I Can Do podcast with Benjamin Lee. We're here to talk about tips and strategies to have an I Can Do mindset. Life is what you put into it. Get the most you can. Here's your host, Benjamin Lee.
All right, we are at day 15, my Ultraspeaking project. So we're going to dive right into this. We have to maintain our skill set. We have to continue to excel. We have to continue to expand. So this challenge is also going to help me with my yes and my no. When I say yes, I need to follow through to the best of my ability. So here we go. I just got done working out on the Peloton bike. I'm fired up. Here we go. Actually, it needs to be 9:15 because I'm going to talk for 9 minutes. It is always 99.99% of the time books over movies. It's interesting because I just got done yesterday. We had some people over for lunch, and we actually talked about this very subject, books versus movies. I can remember a number of years ago, I was preaching in Lubbock, Texas, and I think I watched the movie one night after. It was like a Sunday night, Monday morning or something like that. The story of Noah's Ark, and I think Russell Crowe was the actor, and it was awful. It was just plain awful. Nothing, they had to fill in so many blanks and make so many assumptions and things like that. And the biblical part wasn't even correct either. So I was like, that's why you always pick up the book. The books are always going to be way better than the movies. While we were having lunch yesterday, we talked about Hunger Games. So I read the Hunger Games series a number of years ago. They have the movies with Jennifer Lawrence. But by far, at least what my friend said, my sister in Christ, who was over here with another sister and the rest of my family, she said the books are way better. So 99.9% of the time, books are always going to be better. Why? Number one, you don't have a 2 hour to 3 hour window. You can have a full series. You can really expand upon the character buildup, the setup, the emotions. Not to say that movies can't do that, but books have just something that is long lasting. The other thing too is that when you read a book, you create what the character looks like in your mind. Have you ever done that before? Then when you get to see the movie, you're like, well, wait a second. That's not what he or she was supposed to look like at all. People have complained about Tom Cruise as Jack Reacher because I think in the book, I have not read the books, but I believe in the books, he's like 6'4", 6'5". Well, Tom Cruise, I don't know, 5'6", 5'7", tops. And that may be why I believe it's the Amazon series, Jack Reacher. That dude, that's a big dude. And he's like 6'4", 6'5". He fits the image that so many people who have read the book assume or believe it to be. So that's one of the benefits of reading the book, because a book by itself, you get to design what the character looks like. Now, there are details, but you still have to finish the rest of the puzzle, so to speak. You get to design what the character is going to look like. You get to design what they're going to sound like, their mannerisms. But with the movie, if they don't cast well, you're in a lot of trouble. Now, if there's one exception for me, maybe not for you, but if there's one exception, I would say Marvel Studios. I'm a big Marvel fan. There's something going on with my camera. I updated this, so it looks like a Google Chrome camera or something like that. I don't know, but I got a lot of Marvel stuff here. This is called our collectible room. I'm a big Marvel fan. I never got into the comics as a kid. I think if I did, I probably would have been an even bigger fan. But I did try to start reading the comics a few years ago. But that was after I saw all the movies. So the movies changed, I think, my whole perspective with the comics. So when it comes to Marvel Studios or Marvel Comics, I'm thankful for all the comics, because if there were no comics, there wouldn't be any Marvel Studios. But with that said, I enjoy the movies way better. I tried to read the comics. I just can't get into them. I don't know if it's just like a lack of patience. I don't know if it's because I'm already jaded. So with this discussion on books versus movies, it can be a challenging one. There are nuances. There are subtleties. It does not always have to be this or that. Now, we can debate like the top 10 basketball players of all time, or who's the GOAT in the NFL. That's Tom Patrick Edward Brady Jr. But with books and movies, I think there can be a third option. Maybe it's both and. Maybe it's, well, both are great, and here's why. The books drive the movies. I don't know how many movies then created a book series. Maybe there are. I can't remember any. But so many books are the reason why we have so many movies. And so why get rid of one when you can enjoy both? In fact, all the actors, someone who's going to play a role with Marvel Studios, all the actors, they gobble up all the comics because they have to learn the content. They need to get a feel of what this person is like, what the character is like, and things like that. Let's switch approaches for a moment. I've given you my perspective. You have your perspective. But let's now talk about our lives. What books do we have? I just read a report that almost half of Americans read less than one book per month. Per year. Half of Americans don't read a book hardly at all. And that's why other people can set themselves apart way faster because they are investing in themselves. But another important question is this. What movies are currently playing in our heads? We have movies that often play in our heads. I'm not just talking about the movies that we see, but movies that we create based upon our own circumstances. Have you done that before? We have what's called an ad campaign almost 24 hours a day. If you hate those 20-minute, 25-minute previews before the actual movie, that's what we typically are doing, or what a lot of people are typically doing in their lives, where we play this ad campaign. Sometimes it can be good, but sometimes it can be really, really bad. And the movies that we play can be some of the most depressing, non-optimistic, no uplifting power whatsoever, doom and gloom cinema. We have the power to change what kind of movie goes through our minds every day. We have the power to change the ad campaign that's flowing through our minds every day. Negative self-talk, gossiping, complaining, grumbling, lying. We can switch the channel, change the channel if we want to, and put on a good movie that's very uplifting. A movie that people would love to see if they were able to access the inner parts of your brain, the inner parts of your mind or your heart. That would be encouraging and uplifting and not embarrassing if somebody asked us, hey, what are you watching? So while we can talk about books and movies, and that's a great debate, what books are we reading? And what movies are we currently playing? That will often make all the difference. Be your own superhero. Be a superhero for someone else. We are all writing a book, whether we believe it or not. Every day is a new page that goes into our chapter, that goes into our book. And one day that book is going to be finished. So we better get after it and make sure that the book that we write on this side of life is a bestseller. The time is right now. Live, write that book, and be careful with the movies you watch. All right, I'll see you tomorrow. Day 16 tomorrow. Keep going.